Hey, welcome everybody. And we want to welcome to the studio, Justin Jordan. Justin, welcome to the studio, my good friend.
Hi, Stu. What's going
How
on,
we
buddy?
doing, kid? Take me back to the time when you decided you were going to do it. You were going to take that leap of faith and become a musician. Take me back to that time in your life.
It's funny. I took a car ride with my father on Sunday. We went down to visit some family we hadn't seen in quite some time at a hockey game. And we almost had like this conversation all the way down to Rhode Island. And, just some of the stuff that he was seeing from his perspective of my journey as my father. And then, me kind of affirming that information back to him in some way, shape, or form. And he understood, my direction and the drive that I had to do it. And I kind of told him some things that he didn't really know. He might have had some question marks above his head of me, and like, whoa, like, seeing his son go from, working a job, in corporate America. I was with Home Depot for a number of years. Right out of high school, I transitioned to PC Connection, that later became Connection, selling IT solutions, a desk job, just more of that working atmosphere. Both my father and my mother, both very hardworking people. So, apple didn't fall too far from the tree. I understood the responsibility, and that was my time to venture into the workforce right out of high school. I didn't go to college. Not that I didn't need it or want it. It just wasn't in the cards at the time. And I was more focused on, I guess, becoming who I was and figuring out life and, getting my first apartment and,
all those things.
Just experiencing what life was like in my 20s, coming out of being a teenager and graduating high school.
Right. When did you, and I know you picked it up later in life, but when did you start playing guitar?
Well, it's one of those love-hate relationships. As a kid, I was gifted guitars. My mother had bought me one, I remember. And then, there was like a lesson. Somebody tried to put me through lessons, and I just wanted to hang out with my friends and play basketball. I was actually a basketball player for a good portion of my youth, and I played football, and I never sat down and was like, I'm going to learn guitar. And somebody put a guitar in my hand, and it was like solving a Rubik's Cube. I was just like, what is this? So, but I was a singer, and I was very much a closet singer. When you're a kid, you're figuring out you have a voice. I think it was when listening to music. My father used to play a lot of Journey around the house, Mike and the Mechanics, Tears for Fears, stuff. Right?
Yeah.
But I would listen to the music and wouldn't emulate it, but I started to like, oh, like that's how you sing, So it was a young age, and then in my teens, I would be gravitating towards certain music, and I would listen. I'd walk around my neighborhood with headphones in, and God, I was singing to myself, and then to the songs that I was listening to, and sometimes I would sing out loud, and go, ooh, like what is. How, and not knowing any of my background as far as like later in life, learning that my mother was a singer in her youth, and kind of going, ooh, like it's maybe that's where I got it from. And maybe that's why. What's that?
How did that come to light? How did you find out your mom was a singer? How did that?
She told me, and what's crazy is my parents were divorced. Yep. I would go back and forth to my mother or my father, and I mostly was living with my dad, but I would go back and forth. And the times that I went with my mom, she was working in a bar, and they had karaoke. They had a jukebox, and
awesome.
and then she would come out and sing, and I'd be like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, let me try, and then I'd sing, and we sang some songs together, and like everybody's like, what is this? And then she had told me she used to be in a girl group back when she was a kid, and had aspirations awesome. And things of that nature. So it was like, oh, great. That's awesome. So maybe so I kind of like just the thought was like, okay, well, that's probably where it came from. So, but again, I was so sheltered in my own head. I do this and I'm not known for this. So upon trying to figure out who I am as a person and as a young kid getting out of high school, or even being in high school, going up through middle school and all those grades, I could sing. And I'm watching all of my friends or all the people doing theater or all the people doing plays and classmates. And, I'm hearing all these other people stepping out of their comfort zone and performing. And here I am, the closet singer. Nobody knows. I didn't even want to let it. It was just that confidence thing. I didn't have the confidence to let people know that I could sing.
Right. It's, you got to, and I'll tell you what, that's one of the questions, overcoming that fear, and that's a big thing. But to be successful at anything, you really have to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's so important, and you really do hold yourself back in your own mind, right? So that's why I always say, clear your mind, be present. And I struggle too, Justin, but right on the money with that, right on the money with that. That's a great story.
Yeah, it's wild because if I say to myself now at 40, I say, if I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self that you're going to make a living playing music when did I go full time with it? Oh God, it's been 3.5 years or so, right? I was doing it at the same time as
wow, I didn't realize
working.
It was that recent. I didn't realize it was that recent, Justin.
I'd seen some other musicians that were on the local level that were doing it on a full-time basis and could tell me success stories about it, and that it's a grind, but you get to perform for your job and your living. And it's very gratifying to know that you're able to do that.
Yeah, it is.
And sustain it, because again, to be a musician is one thing, but to sustain playing however many gigs you might play in a month, right? 25 to 30. If you really want to be busy, 30. You're playing almost every day. You're doing doubles. Your body has got to match the effort. If it doesn't, then you're not going to sustain. You're going to be canceling more shows than you can take.
It's important to take care of yourself in that environment you're talking about. It's tough to get your nutrition in. Your rest could be challenged. You're driving a lot. That's a credit to you though, too. We're going to talk about that down the road in here, but that you've been that consistent across your exercise journey. Your discipline and consistency has paid off. That's why you've been able to make those gains, even though you're gigging out 25, 30 times a month and all that stuff. You're pretty disciplined. So
I think when I had gone full time, I had recognized the give and take of freeing up your schedule for certain things. And I think that just for me personally, from what I've seen from people, whether they be friends or just acquaintances or whoever, family, the number one reason why I think people have a hard time going on a fitness journey is because of time.
Right.
Maybe mentally, some of it, physically, they might think that it's too cumbersome of a process. I can't do that. Right. I'm somebody that did say that at one point in my life. I'm through the course of my life, I had gone to the gym a handful of times, tried to get on a routine, didn't know what the hell I was doing. Even as recent as before you and I started working together, I was doing that. I was going and getting in the routine of it, but I wasn't doing the right things. And I felt like I had hit a plateau in those things that I was doing. I had a conversation with Lori about it. She said, I think that was around the time she started working with you. So I was like, I really need somebody to guide me in this process, because there's so much, just like learning music, just like learning anything in your life, you got to learn the basics before you can get to the advanced class and do something productive with what you're doing. And in fitness, you have to have a baseline. And I've learned that, and it humbles you, because you go, listen, I've gotten to a point where I can only run on the treadmill so much. I can only lift 20 pounds 10 times so much, and I'm not gaining anything. I will say that during that time, before the proposal, before I proposed to Lori in January of 23, I had been at the gym since that October. And that was around the time that I think I had, that year, I had just gone full time. I had quit my job at PC Connection. And I had that April, it was that March I quit, or I had left.
And then you gave her a ring.
And then,
Wow.
and then in January of that year,
Wow.
I proposed to Lori. But that October was when I went the whole summer as business as usual, as my first summer as a full-time performer. And I needed to indulge in that, and I needed to understand the role and the responsibility of what that was, because that's now you're solely basing. Since I was a kid, young, worked in a kitchen, I had worked for somebody else. So to work for yourself, essentially, in that role,
a big difference.
That summer of 23 was a real mental crunch because of the uncertainty. Not doubting myself, but just the uncertainty of understanding that now your sole income is the money that you're bringing in from you performing.
It's predicated on your effort, right? I mean,
correct.
And it's, we talked about this before. You can't, you can't worry about it. You kind of have to stay present, but continue to grind, right? Continue to follow the processes to stay busy. We take a few days off and then boom, right? We're behind. So no, it's a big leap of faith when you did this. Little bit of a similar story for me when I became a trainer again. But again, you follow your heart with this stuff, right? That's what you do.
Well, you only get one life, right? So I'm a firm believer of that, and just understanding that we've got so much time to put our best effort on the table. And if you don't, well, you're going to be, older, looking back, going, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, right? And then it's like, well, I didn't jump when I should have, right? I mean, Lori and I talking about this trip, right? We're going our honeymoon to United Kingdom, right? We leave end of May and then come back, doing about 2.5 weeks over there. And then we do Ireland, right? So, we have a million reasons why not to do it, right? We're both self-employed essentially, right? So it's we're gone for that amount of time. We're not doing our routine, right? We're not performing our job, right? We're separating ourselves, and there's no PTO, there's no sick time, there's no, I saved up my vacation as I had for so many years, right? And then this just means you just got to save more money, right? Make it work, make it make sense. And together we make it work, right? But
yeah. And, but that falls into, but you're happy. Happiness to me is the most important thing.
Oh, big time.
It's surprising to me how many people don't understand that, but I think when you prioritize happiness, those other things fall into place. I do, I really do.
If we don't do it now, we probably would have kept pushing it off, so right.
That's it. Enjoy yourself.
And that's the thing, right? So again, it's living those moments and not looking back in regret and trying to be like, oh, well, I should have done that, but I didn't.
Right.
And we didn't. Why? Well, life got in the way. Well, life does get in the way, but life's going to get in the way every day. And I'm not saying it's in the way, but it's something that you have to take as a very strong stance. You have to take a very strong stance on it, because it's your well-being, it's your livelihood. Right. You get up every day, you put your socks on just like everybody else. You go to work, you make yourself money. You go home at the end of the day knowing that you've accomplished that day, right? You've done what you needed to do to pay your bills, take care of your family, take care of your friends. That is how I wake up every day, and I put on that, that face and live that gimmick, if you will, right? And so that's essentially how I applied myself to being a full-time performer, breaking myself away, right? Lori had a big role in that. She had been very encouraging at that time, and she understood what that job was doing to me. It was a challenging job, and I felt like it was time for me to excuse my language, but shit or get off the pot, right? It was like, if I don't do it now, then when will I? And I was like, it's got to be now, and it was, and here we are. So it's been a great journey to get myself there. Going from being a closet singer, 23 years old, finally achieving some discipline to learn how to play guitar after a breakup, I'm like, I'm going to learn how to play guitar. That'll show her. Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
so I learned, and
Sounds like Elvis Presley song or something,
but I learned, and then I built on that, and then eventually made myself my way into a band. Like, I was in a band called Driven, with some people that were in the local music scene, and that band essentially helped me start what was going to be the next 12 years or 11 years of my life in music, which was the band and circle that I was in, with some really close friends of mine. And we had a great run as that. And while that band was going on for that amount of time, I was working a full-time job. And I was also playing, and I had been developing my acoustic performance and just what that had elevated to. And obviously that's where I do the majority of my gigs now is on the solo musician front. But I suit up with a band, obviously with Small Town Stranded now, and then my duo with Sean. So get kind of different tastes of the music, and just the performance of like seeing me suit up with different options for you to be able to go out and enjoy live music and see.
No, that's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're good.
What's it? Yeah, tell me the difference between playing with Small Town Stranded and then doing it acoustic on your own. I mean, different performances. I imagine different energy levels, and then with your duo too. Talk about that as well.
Yeah, all three of them are, they offer unique experiences of seeing me. If we're talking about me in general, but I do the duo with Sean Ballou, and I'm also in Small Town Stranded with Sean Ballou. So you get to see he and I as a duo and what we project out to our audience. And then you get to see us suit up with the band, and you get to see a different side of he and I together. And then when you add Ryan, Dan, and Dana to Small Town Stranded, you get what you see with what we're putting out there for music. And it's obviously a lot of high energy, party band, party vibe. The duo is, it's another version and of myself and what Sean brings to the table, and we put out, that product. And then to come and see me perform as a solo musician, I'm a, what do they call them? One man band, right? I loop, right? A lot of us do, and it's become more prominent nowadays than it might have been in the heyday of music, but what
does that mean, loop?
It's just pedals. Generally, you have different types of loop pedals that you can use, but ultimately all do the same thing. It just gives you like a recurring a chord progression. You build songs with it, so like you're building as the song is, you're adding layers. It's like building a sandwich, I guess, if you will, right? Just to speak in human talk, right? So essentially building a sandwich, and it's you use that you use it at your disposal to create the performance that people are watching, right? So like as a solo musician, it's like, wow, look at this guy or girl and listen to the sounds that are coming out of just one person, so it's just like, that's the part of the element that makes it appetizing for the viewer, is that, and the listener is that, they're like, wow, sonically, this is crazy. I'm hearing all these different instruments and it's one person. Or visually, I'm watching them set these loops and beating up their instrument and watch how they're building it. So it's like kind of two areas of attack, I guess, if you will, from like the performer's standpoint. But yeah, all three of them offer a different experience. You've seen all three of them, so
outstanding.
What all three of them look like, and what you get when you go to them. I mean, I'm always learning
very
new
professional,
stuff.
excellent.
Yeah,
excellent. Yeah,
so that's kind of the answer to your question. I mean, they're all music, and they're all very talented options for somebody to be able to check out on a local level, and
absolutely.
So it's fun to be able to have that, because being one dimensional is one thing, right? But when you can offer options to people and how they can consume you, essentially, it's nice to have that as something. I could very well just be a solo musician and not be in a band and not have a duo. But I got to tell you, my start into music, to like really diving into it, was at a band level. So why do we do sports, right?
Right.
Sports are team driven, right? I enjoy team driven sports. I played basketball, I played football, right? I've always been a competitive person. I'm a Taurus. I've always been competitive. So, in the sense of playing on a team, what better than a band? So
Right.
I actually started my journey by being in a band. So like I revert to a band as like my main focus, and I've always been in a band since I really wanted to be, and made it go at it. And the acoustic stuff has kind of been on the side, but it's nice to see the acoustic stuff kind of rise to the occasion, right? Because now it's like awesome. Like I'm doing these great solo shows. Awesome. I'm doing these great duo shows. Awesome. I'm doing these great band shows. Right.
Right.
There's no like dip in any of it. It's like, it's
Yeah,
all very
good.
prominent, so it's cool to do, but I'm a band guy. So that's,
Yeah.
that's always been my focus. That's why I enjoy doing it so much. And you see that when you see us, so.
Oh, it's crazy how busy it is now for Small Town Stranded. It's like to a point where I can't even go watch you. They're so busy.
Yeah.
It's like, God, could you guys play some other venues, please?
we gotta put seats on the ceiling.
I'm telling you. No, it's great to see it though. It's great to see it. Justin, looking back, what was the most important thing you learned from going through this process, following your dream, seeing it through?
God, I think the drive, the passion, just learning about yourself, understanding that you can push the limits. I mean, we're humans, right? Everybody has the ability to push the limits on themselves. It's just your drive and your passion and your determination, all the good words, right? It's all of that pushes you. And what makes us all different, we all have different motivations, right? So it's, like we might have similar motivations, but we all have different ones in other areas. So that's why not everybody's a musician. That's why not everybody's a trainer. Right. That's why not everybody's a realtor like my wife is, like that's why not everybody's whatever profession you might be in, right? That's why everybody's got different careers and different paths.
We follow our paths.
That's
without
it.
question, and if you continue to follow your heart, you're going to be on the right path for sure. All right. What final question for your music scene? What would you say to someone dreaming of making the leap, following their dream of doing something, but are stuck at a desk somewhere and just haven't been able to find the courage to do it? What would you say to them?
I guess things I said to myself was, you can do this. I mean, I know that's pretty cliche, but like, I think that having the support of like friends and family, all my friends had seen the growth that I had gone through, and a lot of them had seen me get my start and get the start and be there for maybe one of my first shows that I had ever played out in front of a live audience or done anything, and been there for that. Saw me take that leap, right? And played my first show. Wow. I got to watch Justin get up and sing and play. And he has never done that before, ever in his whole life. And this was obviously a good 20 years ago, but 23, I probably played my first show when I was 24, 25.
Okay, still.
Which is crazy. That's only been
16 years.
Right. My math was off. So, but at that time I had friends that I'm still friends with now. I'm still friends with people that I went to high school with, clearly Small Town Stranded, but they watched the progression till now. So like, a lot of the encouragement came from friends that had seen me grow in this, relationships that I had through this whole process. Some of them were very encouraging in this as well. And I'll give them their flowers. Obviously my wife now, Lori, at that time had given me a lot of hope. And so that helped because it helps clear that self-doubt in your mind of taking that leap of faith. Could I have done it on my own without that guidance? Probably, if I really, really wanted it bad enough and was like, I'm willing to take the risk. Then to myself, I had always said, well, my fallback is I've still got a pretty good resume. So if I were to go back into the workforce, if this didn't work, right? Then I at least had a backup plan, right? So it wasn't like I was dead in the water, like I was never going to work again. but again, I had a mortgage at the time, right? Like I had, so I still do, but like just in the sense of like before Lori and I got married, I had owned my own condo. So like
Yeah.
I had mortgage bills to pay and things like that. So for me to jump was scary, but again, well worth it. Now here I am some years later,
Right.
and I see that I reaped in the benefits of it. And again, I think to tie this all in with this, the fitness side of it is that the ability to do this job, right? I mean, it's not super physically demanding, but it's physically demanding enough where you're working your muscles through, for vocal cords,
Right.
like you're up playing and, sometimes twice a day, could be in the heat all day, like you could be just boiling and you're playing your shows. And if you're not conditioned and you're not in a state of mind where you can mount an effort to do that, then you're gonna be like, oh God, I can't do this, because
I can't imagine.
That happens, like I could play the Dairy Field on a Wednesday night and it could be 100 degrees. Granted, they may cancel because they'd be like, listen, the heat's just too much. But some venues, they keep you on because they know people
that gets hot too.
Well, they know people are going to be out, so they still want to have music. They won't cancel. And listen, I want to make the money. I'll go and do it. But there's been some times Lori's come and seen me playing a gig, and like she's like feeding me waters, like just water, and I'm up there cooking, just like playing, getting through my set, right, taking a break when I need to. I got a towel around my head. Like I remember playing a show with Sean at Molly's Tavern out in New Boston on a Sunday back some years ago, and our soundboard fried because it was so hot. We had like 4 fans on us. I think our fans died. I think the people died, but like it was just so hot, and the music went on, and we try to make that money, try to do the show, keep it going. But like that kind of stuff, like if you're not like conditioned for it and you're not like prepared for it, then you're going to find it to be very challenging. So
I don't think you've got to be in good shape to be able to do the schedule you keep, and truthfully to do that, especially through the summer months. I mean, you're grinding.
Yeah, nobody's playing in the snow.
All right. So let's transition into God. I've titled it "The Love Story."
The love story.
Right.
It's a good one.
How did you guys meet?
Well, Lori and I went to high school together. So we didn't know each other in high school. We knew who we were. We knew who each other were. I played football. She was the cheerleader. So
that's great.
So like, funny enough, we were at a lot of games together. When I took my SATs, it was in Hanover. We had an away game, and Lori was there with our cheerleaders for that game. So like, just little moments in our youth that, we might have crossed paths in some way, in some way, shape, or form. And I knew a lot of the cheerleaders, and I actually dated one of them. So like, it was, like that was kind of the Justin Jordan, or Lori Spinoza. Like it wasn't like, we ever crossed paths or hung out or knew each other. But she was really good friends with Sean, still is, and Ryan Bossy and Dana. So like, she knows the guys in the band. Yeah. So, and like other people, obviously, like we've got other friends that we went to school with, and we had similar friend circles, right? But like it wasn't. And then life happens, right? You move through it, you learn, you live, you understand, you start to adapt to the way of things. 17 years goes by, and I'm out playing gigs, and I'm out playing shows, and I just happen to be playing some places that she frequents, and started to become more regular. And obviously she knows Sean. So we'd play a duo show, and she'd come up and say hello to Sean, and, kind of say hello to me. And there it was. Right. And then I wouldn't say she slid into my DM. She sent me a tip to Venmo. And I had kind of been like, oh, let's go get a drink sometime, and catch up a little bit. Right. I was recently single. So what did I have to lose, And we did. And of course, I took her to see a friend of mine who was playing on a Monday. So I was like, I got a little backup just in case, right? This guy's going to put me over for a few minutes, right? Oh, what are you doing here with this guy? He's the man,
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
one of those
Little
things.
backup.
Right. So, so that happened. And then, God, we just started talking, it started to become a little more comfortable. And then, I think we really attached ourselves to the idea that we came from the same town. We knew a lot of the same people. The affirmation there was that we were both good people, and we had been dealt the shitty hand in life with relationships and guiding ourselves through that finding some solace in one another, I think, was what we were both seeing was happening.
That's sweet. Say that again. Finding some solace in one another.
Yeah, finding some solace in one another. Like
that's
we
beautiful.
felt safe.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Like I think it helped that, like, again, I can't say that if we didn't know who each other were and that we came from the same town. And I mean, hell, we later learned that my father and her uncle Mark were close friends like 30 years ago.
Oh my God.
So like, and my dad knew her dad, and like, it was just like, the Spinoza name registered with my father.
The universe has spoken, right?
Right. So it was very comfortable, I think. And again, we were both in the same spot in life where we were like kind of both defeated from relationships and had chosen to just kind of focus on ourselves. And we came together so naturally and organically, almost like it should have been 17 years ago. I had made the joke to her that, we both kind of made the joke that if we had done this 17 years ago, would we have worked the same? And the answer was, it could have been yes, but it also could have been very well no. And that we did need to learn about life and go through these challenges in order to grow and be the people that we are today, so that we can accept one another. And that was actually in my vows. You were there. Awesome. I'm sure you heard them, but yeah.
Well, it was beautiful.
That was in my vows. So yeah.
The wedding. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a second. I'll tell you what.
The wedding. Yeah, I mean, geez, the wedding was the crescendo. That was the crescendo of all of it, So
when did you know that Laurie was the one then? When did you just say, I've got to put a ring on her?
Well, we had talked. You start to get the hints, right? Like she would say to people, well, we talked about it, but we're not rushing. We're not rushing into it. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. We talk about it as if, hey, if you propose to me tomorrow, I would say yes, but we're not rushing. And I go, yeah, we're not rushing. So January 23 was when I proposed. I'm like sitting here doing the math in my head going, nope, January was definitely in 23. So 22 was when I went full time, but that June was when I had decided. And then that January, we were taking that trip to the Bahamas. So I had got a ring. I had that thing stashed away for a good 5-6 months. And I was ready for 5 or 6 months to do it. Built up the courage, planned all of it out in my head. How, when, why, where, not knowing the island. Not knowing where we were going to be on any of those islands that we went to and stopped at in our cruise. I knew I didn't want to do it on the boat. I wanted to do it on a beach somewhere with the sun setting. I didn't get that. But
how did you propose, Justin?
Well, so I had the ring on me for 6 months, and we got to 3 days in to the trip. I had that thing on my person 3 or 4 times in a backpack in my pocket, waiting, because I didn't know when the moment was going to present itself. And I also kind of felt a little nervous. And it was probably one of the first times in my life. Everybody asked me, do you get nervous when you perform? And maybe back then I used to, right? The anxiety would hit you. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to,
right.
Now it's very natural, right? Unless it's like a brand new venue, but like it's still very natural these days but I was really nervous. And I didn't want to let it show, because if I did, it was going to ruin it. It wasn't going to ruin it completely, but it was going to ruin it in the sense of like, I might have fumbled over something, or like, oh, damn, I forgot to do that. And that's that one moment that you can't get back, right? Because now when the cat's out the bag, well, okay, well, I was going to propose to you, but I tripped over my shoelace and a banana peel, and
I
now
fumbled it. Yeah.
I dropped the ring over the boat. So
It
like,
sounds like a Stu special
yeah,
right there.
But so I was nervous because I was like, I wanted it to be perfect, but again, it didn't need to be perfect. It needed to be the right time, and I didn't want to do it on the boat. So, and I had said that to some people, close friends of mine, that knew I was doing this. And I said, I don't want to do it on the boat. I want to do it off the boat. And I couldn't, the first 2 days, I couldn't find anywhere. Like everywhere we disappeared down somewhere. I'm like, let's go over here. And like some random native come walking out, wanted to talk to us for an hour. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it didn't work. So,
spoiled the moment.
Yeah.
Spoiled the moment.
I felt like it was a Family Guy episode. So I ended up waiting, and we went to the market at on one of the islands. We ended up shopping for a while, and of course, Lori's going and trying to buy jewelry. Right, she usually buys herself a nice piece of jewelry on vacations, so she's in there haggling with the sales guy. Right, and I'm sitting there on my phone because we had just gotten a spot of Wi-Fi, and I'm like trying to check in on people and stuff because some of the people that knew I was doing this were checking in. Did you do it yet? Did you not? I'm waiting for pictures. I'm like, I didn't. Yeah. I haven't done it yet. There's
no pressure, but did you do it yet? No pressure, but did you do it yet?
So then the clerk, the guy behind the counter, he's trying to be smart. He's like, he looks over at me after Lori had haggled him down and, brought the price down. And he's like, oh, well, now you got to come to me when you're ready to put a ring on this. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, yeah, sure. Like I had the ring in my backpack. I'm like, but he didn't know that. So
yeah.
So we get back to the boat. We had met some people on the boat. They were actually at the wedding. Some friends from Florida. They came up for the wedding, but good friends of ours from that trip. And that night we actually didn't really like the island that we went to. So like I in my mind, I was thinking to myself going, I can't wait for tomorrow because what if the island's just as bad? So I go, I'm like, I got to do it tonight. We already had a dinner scheduled where we were dressing up, and we had a dinner scheduled. We sit down, we go to dinner, right? I had it in my pocket, and there was an older couple that was sitting next to us we had met, I think, day one in line somewhere. Oh, we're here on an anniversary. We've been married for 700 years, right?
Right.
We're like, oh, this is great. They were sitting next to us. And it was like kind of cool because it was like watching what a marriage can be. They've been married for that long. They're on a cruise celebrating after umpteen years. Like that's love. Absolutely. And that's the love that Lori and I have for one another. So seeing that kind of ticked the butterflies away a little bit, because I was like, I know I'm doing the right thing. And it was scary because it was my first time proposing. But to see that example in real time was like a little affirmation to like know that I'd been so afraid of marriage for such a long time because my folks were divorced that I just never wanted to get involved with a girl and get married and then have it fail. And it scared the shit out of me. And I never wanted to bring a child into this world and then have to put it through a divorce like I had been. And that just kind of was my deterrent, right? A lot of people say, not a lot of people say it. I said it to myself. I was 40 years old this past year. What was wrong with me? Why didn't I have kids, right? To the outside, that could have been something. Oh, what's wrong with him? Like, oh, why doesn't he have kids? Or why isn't he married? Why has he never been married? I don't think there's anything wrong with those people. I just think that I just tried to play life a little smart and tried to not be so hasty with certain life decisions and really focused on me and growing up and becoming a person instead of trying to learn how to navigate life at 20 something years old with a couple of kids and, trying to become a father at that time when I'm still trying to learn who I am as a person. And it just kind of wasn't in my cards at the time.
We follow our own path. We have our own journey,
That's it.
And it's our journey individually. That's why, I don't judge stuff We all follow a different path. We all have different times in our lives when things ebb and flow, right? And we've talked about this, and it's consistency that always brings you back to the surface, brings you back to the middle ground. All right. So the proposal.
Yeah. It was funny.
Tell me, when she said yes, after you tell me the whole scenario, what was that hug like? That must have been absolutely beautiful.
Oh God, I have a photo. So I don't know. It's funny how we have a photo too, because so we're standing on the back of the boat. This is post dinner. We had taken a stroll to the back of the boat, and we were in the right spot. I had the thing in my pocket, and I pulled my phone out. We like kind of embraced, right? And like, we're like just holding one another, right? Just kind of standing there on the back of the boat while it's pitch black. All you can see are the stars. You can see the island off in the distance, because we were on the boat and it already had departed. So we were like moving away from the island. So like you get the island light kind of in the background, and then we're standing there. There's nobody else there, or so we thought. And there was nobody else there. And then I pulled my phone out because my intention was to play our song off of my phone and have that kind of be the start of it. And then while that was playing, I would have dropped down to my knees or my knee and done the proposal. But my phone wasn't, there was like a glitch in like the streaming of the song. So the connection wasn't helping the song play. And I'm sitting there pressing it, and it's behind her head, and it's not working. So I switched hands, and then I brought it over to this hand, and I'm like, well, maybe it'll work over here. And I'm like staring at it, kissing her at the same time. And I went, and I just stopped it, and I put it in my pocket, and I said out loud, I'm doing it now. And I didn't even mean to say it out loud, but it became a thing. I said, I'm doing it now. And I dropped down, pulled the ring out, and I said to her, I asked her to marry me. And she immediately, hands go to the face, and she's like, oh my God, like 0 to 1,000. Oh my God. And then the tears, the yes, I stood up, I hugged her, kissed her, put the ring on her finger, and she melted into my arms and was just holding me and touching my heart, and pretty much everything that I wanted it to be for her, being her first time at a later age in life, right? And then it was everything that I wanted it to be for myself at this point in my life. And we sat in that moment for quite some time, like maybe a good 5 minutes of soaking that in.
Yeah, bask in that, revel in it, right? Just let it all soak in, the aura, the energy, the love. And absolutely beautiful.
And then out of nowhere, we hear, oh my God. And this couple comes like running out of the darkness, and they're like, we saw the whole thing. Oh my God, congratulations. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Man, like, what is it? They're like, we were sitting up in the basketball court.
You scared the hell out of us.
Where did you come from? Thank you, random people. So they were like, can we take your pictures with this? And I said, yeah, can we just recreate it? Right. So there's some pictures that are out there on our social media of that. And it's of me doing the recreation of the proposal. But, but we were able to capture that within 5 minutes, within 6 minutes, if that, just because we had to engage with these people and then present hey, can you guys take our photo within that time frame? So it was all so new, ripped the Band-Aid right off. It was all brand new. Right. And so she was still very much bawling, and so we were both still very much living in that bubble of just like, wow, and so the pictures that we got are they're very much still recreating that emotion that we had just experienced 5 minutes prior, and then they took our photos. We made our way back to the room our cabin, right, on the cruise, and we knew we were meeting up with our friends from the boat that night for some drinks. And they had no idea. So we show up and Lori is beyond excited and
glowing.
And just you could see the outline of it was almost like the sun was behind her, and it was just like
that's kind of
and
love it.
she's just like showing it off, and she's talking to and then we run into the people and our friends, and they immediately bottles of champagne. Everybody, like, we got a good portion of the area that with the bar we were in, celebrating, took a bunch of photos, and just God, like, that was the start of it. And again, it was something that we had said to one another, like, if you said it, if you did it, I'd say yes, but we don't have to rush. And when we got to that moment of the actual proposal and that it was real, it was everything we wanted. So as much as we tried to play it off cool to one another, it was what we wanted. We got what we wanted. So
genuine, right? I mean, it's when true love, innocent, pure, childlike, true love is divine. It's divine in its nature. It's a beautiful thing.
It's crazy to relive that. I'm going to go back and look at those photos now.
No, it's an awesome story. At the end, we'll put on your social media up so people can follow you and visit you.
Yeah.
The wedding pictures were incredible. So let's go to the wedding.
Sure.
Let's talk about, you serenaded her. You wrote 2 or 3 songs, Justin?
I didn't write any. No, I didn't write anything.
Okay, but you serenaded her. How many times?
Well, I mean, it started with the Morgan Wallen tune I played just after the speeches, right? The speeches. I played Paradise from Justin Timberlake featuring NSYNC, which I had discovered that song when his album had dropped, and it was like the first time NSYNC had done a tune with Justin in a while. So I listened to it, and God, the lyrics were like, it was almost like the song was written for Lori and I, just like in what our feeling is towards one another, and like what our lives are like with one another, and just feeling like paradise, right? Even though that song was written as a love letter to their fans, I feel like it was a love letter written for Lori and I in just our lives together. And where I could have written the song for that moment, when something's already said to the fullest, why try and dig for something, I guess, like, and that's why I settled on a cover and was just like, I could have written something for it, but the cover just spoke so deeply to the connection.
Right. And if it touches you there, then that's it, right? I mean,
I took it into the studio with Mike Clark, and we did a cover of it, and then I handed out copies to everybody at the wedding so that they could have a copy of it and listen to it. But yeah.
Did she know you were going to serenade her?
She had no. So, there's actually the other time I did it, the serenading. I sang our first dance song to her, and she had no idea that was happening. I thought so. She knew about the acoustic song. She knew about the Morgan Wallen tune that I was going to play after the speeches, but she had no idea that I was going to sing our first dance to her. So the way I had positioned it was my last groomsman, the last member of the wedding that came out was Sean Ballou. And I thought it was a cool spin because Sean is very much known for his vocals ability and just as a vocalist in general. So what better way to represent him as a friend of mine, such a close friend of mine, than to give him some spotlight in that regard, because I appreciate him more than he probably knows as far as his ability to be a vocalist and just what he does every time we play out. He's very, very much underrated in the area and deserves a lot more credit for what he does. But I get to play with him. So I wanted him to showcase some of that at my wedding right before we come out, because he has such a strong relationship with me, but he's also known Lori longer. Him and Lori have been very close friends for a lot of years. So growing up and even to now. So for him to be the one to be right before us, and then for him to come out singing his entrance song was cool, because it set up him to announce us coming out.
It was wicked cool,
as
Justin.
Mr. and Mrs. Jordan. And then we
Yeah.
come out, and then secretly he handed me the microphone that he had used, and she had no idea. She was completely unaware that I had a microphone in my hand. But if I had reached over and taken the microphone from the DJ, it might have been more, she would have understood what was going on. So the fact that Sean had it made it so that I could hide it because of the handoff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was time for our first dance, she thought that we were doing a regular first dance. And when I grabbed the microphone, our DJ cued the song, and it slid into our song, which was a track that I had just cut up, taken the vocals out, and there it was, right? So that I could sing over that. It started, I turn around with the microphone in my hand and look her dead in the eye and bring her in for the dance. And then I'm singing to her, while we're dancing it. And instead of us just dancing to it, I actually got to sing it to her. She had no idea that was happening. So that was all very much in real time. Yeah. Complete surprise to her.
It was stunning. Really. It was stunning. Like
she loved it.
I tell people, that I talk about that wedding, I was floored. It was a Hollywood fairy tale style wedding. It was
planning a wedding on top of being, busy. We're all busy, but like just being busy, and like Lori, having a busy career as well. For us to plan a wedding like that, and for everybody that was there to see it and to enjoy it, was very moving. Was cool that it relayed that message, because that was the intent. It wasn't meant or designed to be. I wouldn't say a basic wedding is bad. I think weddings are made to be tailored how you want them. So if you just want a smash and grab wedding and have all the basic stuff, then you know what, that's beautiful for you. Right. Enjoy it, have a great time, and congratulations. I like to do things a little different.
Hold on a second. I'm not sure I've ever been to a smash and grab wedding, but it does sound like a lot of fun. Let's go smash it. Justin's having a smash and grab wedding this time,
wedding crashes, right? Go there and smash and grab and get out.
Smash and grab. Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I just, and again, Lori was very supportive around some of the things that I had baked into this wedding, as far as like just little things here or there. And then she had surprises for me as well. So it was like very much that back and forth. And why we work so well is that we both let each other have freedom, and we also, embrace the fact that, we wanted to surprise one another with some things on our most, I wouldn't say it's our most important day. It's one of the best days of my life, if not the best day of my life, was that day and leading up to that day. But we're going to have so many more moments with each other in life that we'll always look back at our wedding like it was such a magical time and a beautiful time. And it will be on the Mount Rushmore of our lives, when it's all said and done. Mm-hmm. But, we've got plenty more in the tank to make splashes with and to do stuff like that, in some way, shape or form down the road, and kind of outdo ourselves in a way. But I'm glad that everybody that was there got to experience it and took it all in and felt the love and even today, they're still talking about it. That means you did something right? They're still talking about it. And it's been 7 months, 6 months.
The effort that you guys had to put into that wedding, it was just so much love involved, right? I mean, it was
I never do things small. I never do things small. Oh my gosh. That's my problem. It was awesome. It's my problem. I get these visions and I'm just like, oh God, I think we can do that. I think we could do that. Well, that would be cool. And wow, that's some pretty cool symbolism, or that's something that, little details, right? It's like building a song or writing a script or being creative in art or whatever, like your little details that you add to things and nuances. Mm-hmm. And like, that's your vision of creativity, and how you embrace being creative is being able to bake certain things into what you're creating, like that give it personality. And I feel like something like a wedding that I had always envisioned, maybe one day getting married. And when it actually happened, well, how am I going to present it? And how we presented it was, minus maybe one or two things that I would have changed now in hindsight that I would have maybe gone back and been like, okay, that could have been, or like, that didn't pop off like I wanted it to, but you don't know, like you try it. If it doesn't pop off, it is what it is. Or if there's a flub somewhere in the process, or like something doesn't go off at the exact moment that you needed it to, like Lori's surprise kind of kept getting pushed back a little bit because of, people were there. But again, we got married on a Thursday. A lot of people had to work the next day. So like we did have some people that left, and like Lori wanted her surprise to be kind of, in the bulk of the night too, when like the majority of the people were there, so, but when it happened, it was kind of a little later in the evening, and it kind of got pushed back a little bit. So it didn't happen at the time when the majority of the people were there. There was a lot of people there, but it wasn't the majority of the people. So, little things like that. We can nitpick it all day. At the end of the day, it was exactly how we wanted to put it out there. And we had a very blessed day with our closest friends and family, and everybody that's been in our corners for years, that has supported us through our life in our journey to try to find happiness. And everybody that was there were the ones that were meant to be there. So
yeah, it was a beautiful night. And Justin, I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
What did it mean for you to have your mom there?
What a journey that was. Yeah, I mean, for anybody that knows, my mom passed away in January of this year. I think the hardest part of it was getting her there, because when Lori and I got engaged, we had thought about eloping. Lori had wanted to maybe exhaust that as an option. And I had kind of fought for the idea, not fought for it, but just, positioned. If we did a wedding, I'd really like it if my mother could be there, and I don't think if we did an elopement or went somewhere or did a destination wedding that we could have gotten her there just based on her condition. So it made it challenging, because we were at a crossroads with like what we wanted versus what we were trying to do for somebody else. Right. But at the end of the day, I'm her only son. My father has 2 other children, but I was his only son with her, an only child with her, but I was her only son and only child. So if I mentally took that away from her, then I wouldn't have felt right about that. So I asked that we figure out a way to make that work. And we did. But when you get engaged in January, and you look at timeline and you go, when are we realistically going to be able to tie the knot? And we go, well, we don't want to do it now. We don't want to do it in the winter. We can't do it in the summer because it's just going to be 10 times the money and we're both busy. So we waited and said, why don't we do it in the fall of 24? But now that presents a challenge of getting her to the fall of 24. She held on. Yeah. And we got her there. And then she looked beautiful. She looked absolutely beautiful. We danced. She was beaming too. She was very happy. After we danced, she stood up to dance out of her wheelchair for that entire time frame. And then my best men, Travis and Nick, sat her back down. And when I hugged her before they wheeled her away back to the table that she was sitting at, she told me how proud she was of me. The excitement of the day, but that moment was, I knew that it was the moment for her that she knew. I think also when we were all in the ceremony and she was sitting there watching me and watching us get married, and then to be into the reception and see that, here we are now, 30 minutes removed from the ceremony, letting it sink in for a few minutes that, wow, my son got married. I think that gave her some hope that it was okay if she went. Within 12 hours, she had a cardiac arrest and she clinically died. And then they revived her and she wasn't quite the same. So like I was thinking about the other day, the last day my mother was very much sane of mind in some way, shape, or form, more so than after having a cardiac arrest and passing away and then being revived, that's oxygen to your brain you're lacking. It's just all this stuff, right? That could cause some brain fog and some, so the last day my mother was, coherent enough in her normal mind state was like the day of my wedding.
Right.
Because within 12 hours she had an episode.
Oh.
So, and then inevitably,
but what a blessing. What a blessing that she was there.
We
right?
got her there.
Yeah.
We got her there.
Yeah.
That's probably why she knew it was okay, because she had witnessed it.
Yeah.
As hard as it is to fathom that it's a reality. Anytime you lose somebody, it's obviously it's tough, because they are now erased. They're not erased from the memory, but they're erased from being a physical piece of something that you can talk to, you can communicate with, you can see, you can visit with, you can have a relationship with. And my mother and I don't claim to have had a great relationship with her. And that's something that I've gone through since I was a kid, since my parents had split. A lot of details about that I won't get into, but
Justin,
it was tough. It was tough.
How old were you when they separated or got divorced?
It was in and around when I was 7 and 8, in and around there. Like, it wasn't like, I can't pinpoint it, but I'm still at 7 years old, 8 years old.
You're very young. You're still very young.
You're still trying to figure out, little things, so like to understand big stuff like that, you're just like, what you guys are doing? What? I don't even know what that is. Like, oh, okay. I've heard rumors of what divorce is, but like, I never thought I'd live through it, but it is what it is. Right. I mean, that's those are the cards that were dealt. That's just what makes you grow and makes you develop and turn into the people that you become, as you adapt to those, overcome and adapt to the way it is. And you can either sink or swim. And I was put in a position to swim. A little more of a backstory. I had open heart surgery when I was, 5 weeks old, 5 or 6, I don't know, early.
Okay.
I had, I can't remember the term, a hole in my heart, I guess, right? Size of a quarter. Whatever that, the medical term for it is. But they had noticed some irregular breathing from me on the couch while I was taking a nap and rushed me to the hospital, where that was what was determined. So I didn't have a very strong chance of living. I had a very strong chance of dying at that moment. And my mother was the one that grabbed the doctor by the face and said, "You're going to save my son." And here I am talking to you 40 years later.
Wow. You never told me that. Wow.
So,
and had there been any restrictions since? I mean, have you had to go back?
They told me I'd never have to. They told me that the doctors at the time told my parents, I believe, that I would never be able to play active sports. I would never be able to do certain things. Asthma would set in, my heart palpitations or things of that nature. Like with just the overall functionality of my heart might be stunted because of certain things. I played basketball. I played football. I'm a singer.
Right.
I might have beaten the odds.
I would say no restrictions. I trained you. I'm horrified. Why didn't you tell me this?
Right. I'm not on an inhaler. I didn't sign the waiver. Right.
I thought you did.
I'm not on like an inhaler or anything. I don't. Shit, man. I spent maybe a couple of years of my life, and I might have made some bad decisions and decided to become a smoker. But like, I stopped and realized how annoying it was for me in general. I hated the smell of it for such a long time, and it was just an easy thing at the time, and
so bad for you.
It is,
bad.
but
it's one of the. Look, I've done my share of bad things, but I am fortunate, or I've never smoked a cigarette. I'm proud of that. That's about it. But whatever. We all go through life's journey, and we do things we shouldn't do, but I always talk about balance too, and smoking cigarettes is something you just can't have in your life if you don't have balance.
No, it's no
that
bueno.
Simple. And we don't even get into that discussion. Gosh. All right. What are you most excited about moving forward with her? I mean, I'm sure you're happy she did her first figure contest, about 3 weeks ago? And
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was incredible. And that's over. So you've got your wife back.
What's nice is being able to, I think, for both of us to watch each other progress, right? So watch each other try things and challenge ourselves, right? And that's, I think that's the message here is, if you're going to get married to somebody, don't be an anchor to them. Be somebody that provides some positivity and some guidance, and instill confidence and help boost them. And I mean, that goes for anybody, friends alike, family. You always want to boost people.
You want to have their backs. You want to have your friends' backs.
We all know what we bring to the table, and we all know that. We all know what ourselves bring to the table, right? But to instill something in somebody else is very powerful. And you see it every day with you instilling fitness goals and providing people with a lifestyle where they can live in a body that is something that they're equally as proud of, and that they are a good state of mind to do it, and that they're eating right, and that they're staying on course and holding them accountable for that.
It's a beautiful thing.
You're instilling somebody to do that and helping them on that journey, so that you very much live the part. But that's essentially what you do in a marriage, you do in a relationship, you do with people that you care about, is you want to instill some of that confidence in them and help guide, just be there as a positive influence, right? So
absolutely. And the relationship you have with your clients in my business, it's so intimate. You get to know them. You get to know them at such a deep level. Like, think about how close we've become just in the 9 months, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. It's a beautiful thing. So, with that, comes, a lot of reward for me, getting to know my clients feeds me.
Emotional connection.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And that's what spawned this, Justin. How often have we done this? And sitting in my office, and I'm like, oh shoot, I got a session, I gotta go.
We should have pressed record.
Like 20 minutes later, so this is just moving that forward, moving that platform forward, but it applies to relationships. It applies to everything, all right. That was great. Let's transition to fitness.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's get strong.
If I'm not mistaken, you once said to me that you had ballooned up to 270 pounds or something like that.
I was teetering around there, man. Listen, sitting at a desk all day has its perks and benefits, but when you're eating candy bars and bags of chips because it's easy and you need to make dials and you got to sit on the phone and you're not walking around, your metabolism's shrinking. It's, it starts to find its way around you, and you start to realize where you're at with it. And then it becomes your outside of work life too. When you come home, you instead choose to not cook for yourself and make the right meal, but instead you decide to order Domino's, or you decide to order a sub from down the road. And then you're still not going to the gym. You're still not working out. You're still not putting any of that nutrition into your body and utilizing it in a way that's helping your body develop or grow in any kind of capacity. So your metabolism is really working against you. And I wouldn't say that I ballooned up, but I will say that for the frame that I was supporting, 6'3", 6'4", teetering, I was outside of my comfort zone where I wanted to be. And again, it had been something that I had digested for a lot of years and kicked around, that I wanted to go to the gym, and I would find myself in a small routine, probably 2 weeks. And then a moth would fly by and I would be onto something else, right?
Yeah. Squirrel. Yep.
Yeah. So, but again, time has everything to do with it. And I said that here in the beginning of this podcast, is that I feel like time, outside of nutrition, outside of your eating habits, outside of your internal struggle with being able to motivate yourself to go to the gym or better yourself in some way, shape, or form physically, whether that be running, kayaking, whatever physical activity, right? But time has everything to do with it. If you surveyed 10 people, I guarantee 9 of them would say, I just don't have enough time. I got work. Right. I come home. I got 3 kids. I got to mow the lawn. When do I find time to go to the gym?
It's true. And what people need to realize is they need to prioritize themselves. And that's,
Right.
a lot of people have a hard time doing that. Right. And that's part of the problem. You're right on the money with that.
I
But,
found it. I
it's funny.
found the time. It was great. It was
Of
when
course
I
you did, because you
went
wanted it.
right. So
If you want something, you're going to
right.
manifest it. It's very simple,
when
very
I found
simple.
when I found that time, I was like, whew, like, okay, well, this is what I'll fill with it. So again, when I started that real routine in 22, right? So
Mhm.
22 that year, like that October, and I started really like trying to get it into my day-to-day routine. It had led me to you because again, it's that learning, wanting to learn more, right? Understand more of the process and what it takes, right? So like you can do stuff
Mhm.
on your own freelance, but then, when you're working with somebody that has lived that role like you have in competitions or in fitness, like you get it. You train people every single day. You see all different types of bodies come through your gym every single day. Um, like you're very much a part of it. So to latch myself onto your program, was a great way for me to hold myself accountable and for you to hold me accountable, like with your
Yeah.
nutrition and just listen, you got to really stay true to these macros. You got to really stay true to your intake of certain foods at certain times after your workout, before your workout. Where are you mentally? Where are you physically? You ask
Yeah.
me every
That's,
session, how are you feeling? Where are you at mentally? Did you get any sleep last night? Like you're looking at it not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint,
oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
from that internal drive and just, I might not have got a lot of sleep last night, but I'm here ready to work. And I
Yeah.
didn't call you and say, "Hey, Stu, I ain't coming today." Why? Well, I didn't get a little sleep last night, so I'm gonna not go to the gym today. No, I'm there Monday morning at 10 a.m. like it's a job,
Right. And you're there for your beatdown.
and I'm there for my beatdown. I'm there to get beat up, man.
And I enjoy it. All
I'm
due
there.
respect. I love you, but I enjoy every minute of it,
All
my
good,
friend.
man. I'm all grunting and groaning in the corner because I'm pissed off at myself. Like I'm just like like I knew I could have hit that last
Why
rep,
am I
but
doing this to myself?
yeah, I leave there and I feel like I can't walk through the doorway. So
Let me jump forward a little bit to nutrition. You talked about that, and we've spoken about it. When you're playing that much in the summer, it's hard. How do you do it? Trying to get new food in and stuff.
yeah, I mean, so I don't eat it. I don't eat at my gigs. Like I probably should. I fall victim to like, hey, Justin, you want a meal? I'm like, no, I'm good, and I just get out of
Yeah.
there. I get out of there because at night, 9 times out of 10, I come home. I've got food I've got food in the fridge that I can eat, and that's what I normally eat, right? So it's like breaking the routine of like eating something that might be potentially bad for the process versus eating something that I know is a shoe in. I get home, chicken and rice, broccoli,
Mhm.
whatever, like boom, smash, grab, microwave, done. There's, maybe I'll make a drink, a protein drink, whatever. Um, protein bars, I mean, that helps
Mhm.
kind of
Snacks, right?
curbs, right. But as long as it's something that's adding to your macros and kind of getting you to that goal, right. Getting you to the finish
Right.
line of that day. And where you've obviously beefed up my intake here recently. So, it's more, you gotta, it's more intake, it's more fuel for the body. But again, there's that other side of the coin where you get into that cutting mode and now I'm only eating maybe twice a day, maybe
Yeah.
because the calories intake isn't as high, the fat intake isn't as high. Your proteins might stay or be within the same range based on your body weight and stuff like that. But for the most part, your carbs shrink, your calories
There's
shrink.
big changes. There's
Yeah,
big changes. I mean,
so that helps.
um, but like I always say to you, enjoy those
Yeah.
high carb days, because when I peel them back, right, it gets harder.
Yeah,
But I don't think a lot of people realize how difficult it is to get all the food in when you're trying to gain muscle. I mean, what are you at, about 4,500 calories a day?
it's
Plus or
40,
minus?
4502 or something like, I don't know,
I mean,
some weird number. Yeah.
God bless you. It's hard, and it's a credit to you, Justin, your commitment level and how consistent you've been. I mean, you separate yourself at that. That's why these changes have happened for you. Your physique has changed quite a bit in the last year since I've met you. You've picked up a lot of lean muscle, and you put the work in. You've been remarkably consistent, and and that's a credit to you, my friend. Absolute credit to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, again, if I hadn't sunk up with you at the time that I did, I mean, you're the one that got us in the shape we were in for not only our engagement photo shoot that we did, but also our wedding. So like,
it was my honor, my friend.
Well, the shape that you got Lori and I in for that was like, we both said to each other, like we see a picture from the wedding, and like we both say to each other, that's the best shape we've ever been in our lives, and it was on our wedding day, so syncing up with you at the time we did to now we're post wedding, right? We had a goal of the wedding, and now we have a goal of let's get bigger, and then we'll cut it down, right? And then we'll do another bulk, and then we'll cut it down, right? And that's just going to build you all the way up to, being a statue, right? But so it's the ebbs and the flows of that process and how you do it, and at the times that you do it, right? Now's the good time to do the bulk, just like most people do, is usually in the winter. They start cutting for the summer bodies, end of April, beginning of May, and then
the more
right.
Truthfully, the more you do it, I wouldn't necessarily the easier it gets, but the more times you do this, specific nutrition plans to bulk up and cut and to lose weight, it kind of does become easier because you have a blueprint to follow, right? And,
sure.
As we get older, the blueprint changes every time. Lord knows, as we get older, our hormones change and all that stuff. But it's nothing we can't overcome.
Nope.
And I love it when someone does their first cut, and they're like, oh, that wasn't bad. I said, everything you said kind of came true. Everybody has their own timeline based upon how consistent they've been. But, largely speaking, you can kind of see a path, right? You can usually tell where people are going to go. And once they've done it, they've got that blueprint. They've got their neural pathway set, right? They'll remember how to do it again. It's not as daunting. And then you do it again, it gets easier, and it just gets easier and easier. I've competed 18 times, Justin.
Yeah. See, so who better to talk about it is you? Yeah.
Oh my God. Too much bulking and cutting, but
living by example, right? That's the thing. When you've got somebody like, not to cut you off, but I just want to say this one point. When you are the example and you teach the example, it's more buy-in for the people that you're teaching the example to. Because they're seeing it, the proof's in the pudding, right? You go and look at me, look at the work I've done, look at the amount of bulking and cutting and bulking and cutting. And do you want to see pictures of me competing? Multiply it by 50. You are the example that these people look at that are training with you, myself included, and go, it can be obtained. And the guy who's showing me how to do it has obtained it, right? The guy who made the first fire, the caveman who made the first fire, I'm sure all the other cavemen and women came to, oh my God, you made fire. I'll believe anything.
Rack and rocks together.
I'll believe anything you say, right? So
love it.
you're the example, right? Like you lead by that. And that's great because it just means that other people can buy into it, right? And they go, listen, right. I'm seeing Stu and I'm seeing what he looks like and the work he's put in for the better part of 20 years, right? Like, or more. Like you are the one setting that example. So it's rewarding to see, right? Like for me, I gravitate towards it,
It's humbling. I enjoy it. That's for sure. It's like, I talk about it all the time with you. It's my, it's my calling, helping others. I said it before, we're here to help each other. That's why we're here.
That's it.
And it's wonderful to be able to do it. It's been great too, Justin, just kind of getting back to a few things here, is how many younger kids I've been training since the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, that was, never my wheelhouse, so to speak. I was a senior fitness specialist, and I did love working with kids. I'm a youth exercise specialist as well, but I've been training some of these kids now, since they've been in 8th grade, now they're graduating high school, and I'm going into their basketball games and I'm going to their hockey games. And I can't tell you, it's very rewarding to watch them grow up, to become young men. It really is. It's absolutely, it's like I talk about feed my soul. Oh my God,
Oh yeah.
and, it's just and what a blessing, right? To be able to do it for a living. That's kind of how I feel about my life, for sure.
When you're passionate about what you do for a living, it's never work.
No, it's not work.
People say that to me all the time.
I've been retired for the last. I've been retired for 20 years. I'm not kidding. This is retirement, man. I mean, there's nothing I'd rather do, buddy. There's nothing I'd rather do. All right, where do you see yourself in the fitness world with this? Do you want to keep improving your physique? What are your fitness goals?
I'm a closet wrestling fan, right? So
right. Oh, you love it.
I went to WrestleMania last year. I watch it weekly. It's funny. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a kid. I think there's a lot of closet wrestling fans out there. It's kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what people say, you look like the Undertaker all the time, right?
So it's my God, it's horrible.
The pop culture reference, right? Everybody knows who Macho Man is. Everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is, right? Brother,
an Undertaker.
Right? It's so much a part of pop culture that like it's almost like okay to like it these days, right? Like, you might turn it on the TV and watch it, and that might be your guilty pleasure. But at the end of the day, I got some really close friends of mine that we all watch it together and we all talk about it together. And it's just another element of something that we can all like as human beings, right? Like I don't downplay
social.
it.
It's social.
I love that I'm a wrestling fan, and I don't care. It's been a part of my life since I was a kid. And my dad and a friend of mine as well, Dave, an bandmate, wouldn't say an ex-bandmate. He was in my band in Circle with me that is no more, but we're doing another project now. So, and then my father, they're good friends. So like they used to take me to wrestling events when I was a kid, so it's been around me for such a long time. But anyways, so not that I'm in any way, shape or form trying to be a wrestler. Right? I'm not trying. But as I entered this fitness journey, you can't help but notice people in, the sports world and their physiques and their bodies. And you go, man, I'd love to have a body like that. Right.
You look at pro wrestlers get great physiques, absolutely great physiques.
And I'm no way, shape or form looking to go and sign up for the Performance Center tomorrow. All I'm saying is that if I'm entered into this fitness journey, then goals of mine are to get myself to a spot where I may have that type of a mass to me, and I enjoy what that looks like on another person. And I go, oh, like, yeah, I could look like that too if I just put the work in, right? Like, and they're not, I wouldn't say they're basic bodies. There's different body types in every direction, right? But some of those wrestlers, they just, like I'm like, oh man, like they're jacked. They got a great physique, right? Like you can recognize it. I'm comfortable with who I am. If a buddy of mine looks great, I'm going to tell him he looks great.
Of course. Oh no, of course.
If I, you tell me I look great, like we're complimenting one another. If I see somebody that has a great physique, I go, listen, man, you look great, right? Like you put the work in, right? I understand the process. No. So I
love it.
I look at them and I look some of them and I go, listen, like that's a great. Or I look at bodybuilders. I don't need to get shredded out. I don't need to look like I'm, you could like 1% body fat, like all that stuff. I want to be a 6'3", 6'4", male with a physique that I'm proud of. And I've put the work in to develop and look good for my wife and look good, feel good, play good. That's a mantra from my buddy, Mike Murphy. Look good, feel good, play good. Right. I'm a performer. I'm out playing shows. I want to be noticeable. I want to be presentable. I want to be put together. I want to have the opportunity to live the part. Right. And just, by looking like you take care of yourself and, like, it's just being a professional, out like I'm doing it. always put your best foot forward with your presentation, right? And like, so
yeah, nurturing
it just
nurturing
helps,
mind, body, and soul.
right? It just helps the whole pot of everything, like, so I look at them in the wrestling world and I'm like, yeah, they've got the right work ethic. They've got the right nutrition. They've got the right fitness program that they're working on. Some of these guys and girls come back in like better shape after an injury because they just put so much time in the gym and like just developing their body, or there's new ways of developing your body through different types of fitness and different types of nutrition plans that are out there. Because as you know, nutrition isn't, or nutrition can come in all different shapes and sizes. You eat different things at different times to do this. Like there's a science to it. It's not just plug and play. There's a science to how you have to navigate the fitness and the nutrition intake and how you're doing that for your body so that it can grow in the right places.
Yeah, I mean, there is, but I think overall it's relatively simple. It's just that most people don't know how to follow it or implement it, and then
right.
I hate to break it down like that, but
that was me.
Well, it's true though. You've never done it. So how would you know, right? How important it is to do simple things like weighing food and measuring and,
I weigh everything.
But you learn that
everything.
It's a problem. Well, now you do, because but look at how you've been able to manage your physique in the last year in terms of through your nutrition plan, and I mean building muscle. You've been through, you got lean for your wedding, and you bulked up again. Now you're about 230, but so you're experiencing all this, and like I've said to you before, when you go into a phase when you're going on a restrictive calorie deficit to lose weight, you're going to benefit from that level of consistency. You will, and that's why you work so hard for these moments, right? So I think that's a good thing that you've learned so much. All right, what do you want to leave everybody with, buddy? Let's start trying to wrap this sucker up.
Oh, I don't know, man. What do you want me to get the fireworks out? You looking for a big parade in true Justin fashion? Yeah,
that's it.
I don't know. I guess if I give a closing message, it would be, you can do anything. I get so many people that ask me, "Oh, how did you learn how to play guitar? And how did you learn to sing? Or how did you learn to do that?" They think it's like I'm a wizard and they do it to everybody too. All of my musician colleagues probably get, and I speak from that, standpoint of being a musician, and it's not for everybody. Not everybody can be a musician, but if you put the work in on it, you can get close enough to being or playing a role, meaning you may never be a singer, but you could be a hell of a guitar player. You could be a hell of a drummer. You could be a hell of a bassist or keyboard player or whatever. You just got to learn. You got to learn it. You got to put the work in. And it's just like anything else. Like I say that to everybody. They're like, how'd you do it? And I'm like, well, what do you do for work, sir or ma'am? Oh, I build houses for a living. All right. Well, how'd you learn how to build houses? Well, I learned. Okay. Now, I understand some of it comes from self, born with it, right? Born naturally talented, right? Naturally talented.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I think when you really want something, you'll manifest it.
Yeah.
I've done it. I don't need to get into it. We will over time. I think how many times I've recreated myself.
Yeah.
And gone at 180 degrees in the other direction. And it served me well. I've had a very happy life. It has served me well. Following your heart. That's what you did. You followed your heart.
That's right.
And look where it got you.
Yeah, it didn't lead me astray.
No, it's how could it be untrue if it's you're following your heart? And how many people do it, right?
Well, it's crazy that the heart that was broken when I was born is the one that led me to where I am today.
That sounds like the title for a song.
Take that one in real quick.
That's awesome. All right, Justin, listen, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, buddy.
It's funny. We didn't even talk about the Stuudio jingle you did for me that I signed you the homework.
Yeah.
I signed you a homework. Well, tell everybody what I signed. I signed Justin a homework assignment for this episode. Justin, tell us what I assigned you.
You had brought up the Phil Collins. Is it Phil Collins or was it Genesis?
Yeah, it's Phil Collins.
Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't remember. So the Stuudio song, right? So you were like, I want to change it to Stuudio. And I'm like, okay. And you're like, can you like change the lyrics to like make it sound all about this? And I'm like, yeah, like I could do that. So like I did some work behind the scenes and I took like a quick, what was it, 30 seconds maybe or less
30 seconds,
of the song
Yep.
or of the song, with the envision that it would have been like a lead in for you for the podcast and like an outro, right? Like kind of like a Stuudio, and then boom, and like here we are. I'm Stu. You know, here we are. We're gonna talk to Justin
absolutely.
Jordan today, right?
Oh, I was going to rule the world, Justin.
You're right.
You know,
and then the outro, right? So it was like that back and forth, from the beginning and the end, right? So, but it was like the gimmick of the song, or and I had done some recording on it in the back end and changed some lyrics and made it
it was great
work.
too. It was great.
Made it work. And then I sent it to Sean Blue and I was like, hey, could you throw some harmonies on this? And he's like, yeah. So he did some stuff, sent it back. And then I was like, Stu, you got to listen to this. And here it was. And
was
due
awesome.
to licensing and whatever, we may not be able to use it, but
I should have. Well, the moral of the story, everybody watch it, is I should have, before I signed homework, I should have checked copyright issues with YouTube.
Listen, it took me probably 30 minutes to like go, where do I start? Where is it going to end? And then got something like recorded to listen to and like kind of play around with it. Like 30 minutes of my time.
It was awesome.
And then I sent it to Sean and he spit one back out at me and I was like, here you go. Like it didn't take much time at all, but it that kind of stuff is fun. It's
I love that creative side, Justin. I love it. The creative side of it.
It was for what you've done for me and what you've done for Lori. Like that was the least of my, repayment of helping out with something like that. And then getting to be a guest on it is obviously.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It worked both ways. So.
Justin, do you want to throw out your social media stuff? So
Justin Jordan Music on Facebook, Justin Jordan _music on Instagram. 21st and First on Facebook. That's 21ST and 1ST, both on Instagram and Facebook. And then Small Town Stranded on Facebook and Instagram. And then that's hashtag Get Stranded if you do any hashtag stuff. But that's where you can find our schedules for the year. You can find where I'm playing, where the duo's playing, and where the band is playing. And then I have original music on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, wherever you download and stream on all platforms. You can look up Justin Jordan. I also do an original project called The Circle Effect, which is some members from my old band Encircle. We're doing some songs now, actually, and we have one out called Sorry for the Wait that you can download or listen to, stream, right? So that's out there by The Circle Effect. And then I have songs out there with my buddy Sean, with my buddy Ryan Bossy, that you can find as well. Download, stream, listen to, consume, add to a playlist, support local music, and that's it.
Awesome, buddy. That was great. It's great storytelling in there, Justin. Thank you for joining me tonight, joining us tonight.
Thank you, Stu.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment. Let's build this community. All right. Compassion, empathy, love, and laughter.